Petco Park, a new beginning, let's go. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Mitchell and Ness with the old school name. All of the homies holler Padre gang. Yeah, that.
And good day, everybody. Welcome to the June 28th Padres Diamondbacks pregame show. I'm your host, Ben Fadden, coming to you, about 3 hours before first pitch. The lineups just came out for the Padres. Not sure if the Diamondbacks lineup is out yet, but obviously the big headline going into tonight's Padres Diamondbacks game, which is at 6:40 at Chase Field, is that Manny Machado is not in the lineup again. Um, Will he be available off the bench? I don't think that's been said yet. I'm pretty sure Bob Melvin's going to talk to the media at some point during this pregame show while I'm talking. So if there's any other updates on that, I will definitely bring that to you. What's up, Irie? I see you in the chat. First pitch, obviously 6:40. Shaman on the mound for the Padres. Zach Gallen on the mound for the Diamondbacks. Chase Field in Arizona on Valley Sports San Diego and 97.3 The Fan. Just like it is on most games, one game will be on Sunday Night Baseball on the Mets series, I think at the end of July. That was announced today that's going to be on Sunday Night Baseball instead of a day game it might have been on Peacock. I have no idea. I don't remember. The only thing that matters is now it's going to be on Sunday Night Baseball. But the big news, Manny Machado still not in the starting lineup. And obviously that leads to the question of should have the Padres put Manny Machado on the 10-day IL on Monday after he suffered that ankle injury on Sunday. And I was just listening to John and Jim in their opening segment, and both of them were kind of like, yeah, it would have helped to have a bat up there with the big league club when, this lineup needs an extra bat. And I totally understand that argument. But if I were to play devil's advocate and go the opposite way, I would say, hey, Manny Machado, he felt well. He was walking without a limp on, what was that, Monday. All signs were pointing well. A couple days later, he was running well. He's been fueling. He's already hit on the field. So he's made progress to come return, and he might make a pinch hit appearance today and change the game. We don't know. He might play tomorrow and start tomorrow if there's a pinch hit appearance today. We don't know. And so I think it might be a little too early to tell. Look, the 10 days, if he was put on the 10-day IL on that Monday, that would have been the 20th, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Today would have been the 9th day that he would be on the IL. So he would have been available to come off the IL in the Dodger series. But this is also Manny Machado that you're dealing with. Like, he knows his body best. Was this a situation where he might have overestimated himself or bet on himself like too far, if that makes sense? Oh, I can make it back, but dang, I didn't make it back as early as I thought. My body's not feeling that great. Yeah, but there was a date. I believe it was Saturday or maybe it was Friday. I think it was Friday where the Padres could no longer retroactive the date on the 10-day IL if they did select that option to put him on the 10-day IL. I think it's like 5 days in or something that once you put him on the IL after a certain date, you can't retroactive it because you see a lot of teams, they give it a couple days and then they put him on the IL because it's not getting better, and they will retroactive it to the day after the last game that he played, right? They couldn't do that with Manny once they got to a certain point. So they were committed. What it's really about is they put him on the IL, or they made the decision not to put him on the IL, rather, on Friday or Saturday, whenever that date is, that you can't retroactive the date. They made that decision, and now they're going to stick to it. So it's not a matter of are they going to put him on the IL now. What they should have been asking, should they have put him on the IL on last Monday or last Wednesday or whatever, whenever that is. And I totally understand that viewpoint of people saying, yeah, they should have. Would have given him an extra bat, all that. But things were progressing where the Padres were saying, I'm surprised. Bob Melvin was saying, I'm surprised. Manny's looking good. Jake Cronenworth was saying in post-game press conferences to the media, man, maybe it's going to be less than a week. Hopefully it's less than a week when he returns. We know Manny, he's amazing. Like, he was saying that. His teammates were saying it. So things were progressing well. Maybe things just got, paused a little bit, delayed when the trainers needed him to run the bases, and that didn't work out great. The ankle wasn't responding there, or go hardcore fielding, didn't respond there. But he doesn't need to field to be impacting games, right? If he only DH'd or if he only pinch hit tonight or whatever, and he ends up hitting a double in the gap and scoring Grisham or whatever, or scoring Profar, whoever it is, and winning the game for the Padres, are you going to say, oh man, we should have had Brent Rooker up when Brent Rooker hadn't played the last two times that the Padres had already brought him up this season? I don't know if you would, you know? Like, I totally get it. And maybe I'm just such a fan of Manny, and I trust Manny's decisions, and I trust the decisions that Bob Melvin has made this year, that I'm just going with their side. Like, yeah, they made the right decision. Trust Manny. Would it have made that big of a difference if they had Brent Rooker come up? I also understand the other side, though, that having Brent Rooker up, or whoever they decide, whether that was Eggy Rosario, whoever, they bring him up, maybe he would have helped the team and win a game. One of those Phillies games that they weren't able to win this past weekend, right? We'll never know. But I would have, I guess the question is, should they have put him on the IL, like I mentioned, before that Friday or Saturday day where they couldn't retroactive it anymore? That was the decision. It wasn't, should they have put him on the injured list on Monday or anything like that? Should have they done it before you no longer could have retroactivated that date, if that makes sense? And they didn't do that. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think this team is going to be a postseason team comfortably. I just don't think that they're going to collapse like they did last year, because this year's team is just different than last year's team. And they're doing this well without Fernando the entire season, with Cronenworth, who got off to a hot start, with Hosmer not being hot right now, with Cronenworth not hot that last series. It's kind of this last week, um, with some bullpen collapses a little bit in there, with Nola starting a lot of the games at catcher. Um, they've overcome a lot this season without their two best players in some of the games, and they're still in a playoff spot. So I don't think this Manning decision is going to totally, affect the team's chances of making the postseason. And, we go back at the end of the year and we're going to be like, oh man, we should have put Manny on the IL. Brent Rooker would have saved our season. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But it's a question that's worth talking about. And I don't know. I still wouldn't doubt Manny coming into the game today at some point. Annie Halbrun did tweet this out, by the way, saying Manny talked to the media today. When asked what it meant to him that the Padres wanted to take the chance of getting him back for a game or two versus putting him on the IL, he smiled and said, I love Bob. What can I say? He's one of the best managers I've ever been a part of. And I think, yeah, part of the reason why they put him on the injured list was to satisfy him and keep him happy, right? He's your captain, your best player, blah, 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 blah. And he um, takes pride in not going on the IL, right? The availability. But he wasn't available, but he might be available today and tomorrow. Like, I think it's too early to totally say the Padres really, crap the bed with this decision, because he could come impact the game today and tomorrow, right? From what I saw, my eyes, him on the field, I thought he looked good. Running, I know he wasn't doing these sharp turns or anything, but I thought he was good enough. He was hitting on the field, looked fine, that he would come back maybe at some point during that Philadelphia series, not in full capacity, but as a pinch hitter in that type of role, and it didn't happen. Again, he might come back today, might come back tomorrow. We'll see. I don't see any comments in here related to the Manny stuff, so we'll get into the pregame show. Padres Diamondbacks 640. Diamondbacks are 33 and 41. The Padres are 45 and 30. You follow the social media channels at Talking Friars on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you want to be on the show, express your opinions, all that. There is that voicemail number, 619-335-5770. 619-335-5770. That is the voicemail number that you can give your Padres thoughts whenever reacting to a game, pissed off about something, happy about something. Feel free to give that number a call, and I'll play those on an upcoming episode of the show. Padres are in second place in the National League West, a game back of the Dodgers. The Diamondbacks, I believe, are in fourth place in the National League West. They are 13 games back. So they're not good this year. The Padres, they swept the Diamondbacks last time they faced them, and that was last week at Petco. Mad Bum on the mound tomorrow. They smacked him. They didn't do so well last time out against Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen went 6 innings, 1 earned run, and struck out 11 guys. I believe that it was his career high in strikeouts, 11 guys. Gave up that home run to Eric Hosmer, but that was a mistake by him. Yeah, I gave props to Hosmer for hitting that home run, but Gallen missed his spot. He wanted it in the dirt, and it wasn't in the dirt. It wasn't in the strike zone, so that's where you give Hosmer the props. But the 2 strikeouts, the 2 at-bats previous to that against Hosmer for Gallen, he threw the ball in the dirt. He did not get it that far down in that third at-bat, and Hosmer went yard off of him. But that was pretty much the only action that Gallen saw um, on the mound against the Padres. And, matchup-wise for the Padres, Hosmer's hitting .417 off of Gallen. Other than that, it's a lot of small sample sizes. Profar's 5 at-bats, hitting .600 off him. Crony's .273, 11 at-bats, a little bit bigger. But nothing that's amazing. Hosmer's the best. .417, 2 home runs off of Gallen in his career. So maybe I should pick Hosmer. I mean, it would fit right in with my picks for the Philadelphia series. I picked Crony pretty much every game. I was like, he can't continue to not get a hit. And he continued not getting a hit. So I'm going to stay away from Crony. Hopefully he gets off of that little slump, that serious slump today. So I'm going to stay away from him in my Padre pick. I'll go with Eric Hosmer. Might have been my first. Is that the first time that I picked Eric Hosmer this year? I probably picked him when he got hot in April and then crushed back down to earth, came crashing back down to earth. Not a surprise. But I probably picked him then. But it was pretty much the Manny and Hosmer show at the beginning of the season. But now it's been Profar and Alfaro and Cronenworth before that Philly series. I'm 43 and 25 so far this season in my pregame show Padre pick. Let's see. The bullpen situation. Let me load that up. So Taylor Rogers has not pitched in a while. He's definitely going to get in the game tonight if there's a tie game or a situation where the Padres can close it out. Garcia, Hill, I mean, obviously with the off day yesterday, it would seem like everyone would be available. So, your ideal situation is Mania goes 7 innings, and then you got Garcia in the 8th or Chris Matt, and then Rogers in the 9th to close it out. Martinez hasn't pitched in a while either, but you probably wouldn't want him pitching after Mania because Mania usually goes long. So usually they would just go with regular relievers after a guy that usually has quality starts time in, time out. But not a whole lot to talk about with the bullpen situation because it would seem like everyone is available. And Shamanaya, by the way, for some reason I have Blake Snell's game logs open. Manaya has a 3.87 ERA so far this year. Last start, faced the Diamondbacks, and he pitched good. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, struck out 6. Did give up a home run, but 95 pitches, a solid start. If he does that tonight against the Diamondbacks, it will be a close game. I don't know if that would win the game just because of how great Gallen was against the Padres last time out, and I don't know if Hosmer's going to hit another home run off of Gallen. Um, but if he gives up 2 runs, 6 innings, that sets up the bullpen well. You don't have to use the Stamens of the world or anything like that. You could go right to Chris Matt, Garcia, and Rogers if the situation presents itself the way that the Padres want. So another quality start from Anaya. Even if Gallen has a quality start, the Padres would have a pretty good chance of winning that game. He just has to stay away from the start like he had against the Cubs, where he went 4 innings, gave up 5 runs. Padres ended up winning that one 12-5, but with this lineup, they don't have Manny. Um, you know, I don't think they're going to score 12 runs off of Zach Gallen, right? They're not facing Zach Davies or whoever. I forget who they were facing that night. They scored 12 runs. Or the Cubs' really bad bullpen. The Diamondbacks' bullpen isn't great either. Mark Melancon, that turned out being a great move that the Padres didn't make. They trade for Rogers on opening day, and then they decide not, or before that, they decided not to bring back Melancon, instead give the money to Suarez and Garcia. Suarez was good when he was healthy most of the time. Garcia's been good most of the time when he has been healthy pretty much the whole year. So that's turned out pretty well so far for Preller. And the Padres lineup tonight, obviously, the big story, like I mentioned off the top, was Manny Machado not being in the lineup, but it's Trent Grisham leading off, it's good news. I know Grisham hasn't been great offensively this season, but meaning, when he's in the lineup like he is tonight, that means that he's healthy or healthy enough that his shoulder's not, telling him not to play, um, or at least swing a bat. Because remember, last weekend against Philly, he kind of could feel his shoulder. I think it was prior to Saturday's game. Off the tee, he was swinging, and he just didn't feel good. The shoulder didn't feel good. And then played Sunday's game off the bench in like the 8th inning, but Voit pinch hit. Grisham came and played the field, so he wasn't ready to hit yet. But I assume that the day off Sunday from hitting, the day off Monday, yesterday, totally full day off. And then most of the day today, he's had a lot of time to have that shoulder recover. So he's leading off. That's good news that he's healthy and playing. Profar in the 2 spot. I still prefer Profar to be leading off. It just feels kind of like last year with Fernando. He's just healthy. Or, excuse me. That's not what I meant to say. He just feels more comfortable in that leadoff spot than anywhere else in the lineup. Remember, they were moving him in the 3-hole. I think that was Cronenworth's bobblehead night, and he didn't do great there. But he's hitting second. Not too bad. I mean, mad about that. That allows Alfaro to be hitting in the 4 spot. I would still prefer having Voit or Mazzara over Hosmer. But Hosmer did have a decent series against the Phillies when he wasn't grounding out to second base or first base, which it felt like every time he didn't get a hit or striking out. But Hosmer's hitting 5th, Cronenworth's hitting 3rd, Alfaro 4th, Voit 6th, Mazzara 7th, Kim, and then Abrams. Abrams and Kim, they're going to be at the bottom of the order. They just are. I was looking for the Padres to put Abrams at the top of the order, maybe because he was hitting good in AAA when he came up, but he's struggled since he's come up, just like he struggled the first time around earlier this season. So that's pretty much where he's going to be until Manny comes back and plays full third base. And then you wouldn't need Abrams probably even on the roster, and he'd probably be sent back down to AAA. As for the Diamondbacks, Jordan Luplow, Josh Rojas, Ketel Marte's back in there. I don't think he played at all in that. Maybe he played one game. I don't know if he played. Don't believe he did in that series last week at Petco. Christian Walker, Buddy Kennedy, Carson Kelly, Dalton Varsho, Alec Thomas. He's pretty good. Jake Hager is at shortstop. I believe it's a former Met prospect. No David Peralta in the lineup for the Diamondbacks tonight. So that's good news. Padres don't have to face him. And David Peralta, he was hitting 143 off Mania, but he's one of those Padre killers, kind of like Charlie Blackmon, right? So it's good that they don't have to face him. Other numbers, Ketel Marte is hitting 263 off Mania in 19 at bats. Everyone else, it's a pretty small sample size. Christian Walker, 11 at bats, hitting 182. That's not great. But Mania, I mean, it feels like it really does to me that tonight it's going to be Mania, Gallen, both pitchers duel type performances, quality starts from both guys, and then who comes up late with a run. You know, that's what it feels like, is what it is. That's what to watch for. Can the Padres get another quality start off Mania? Because I feel like Gallen is definitely going to do that for the Diamondbacks against this Padre lineup. Um, and Manny, obviously, will he get an at bat? Right? That's a big one. I led off the show with him not being in the lineup. Will he get an at bat? He told a kid. I don't know if you guys saw this video. I can't find it, but he told a kid. It was posted on Twitter at the photo day that I was at. Was one of the first in line, and I was not sent to the Padres side. The lady there directing people didn't allow me to go to the Padres side, even though I was the first one on the field. Um, Still kind of mad about that. But Manny was on that Padres side after going to the bullpen and looking at pitches, just standing in the box, not swinging, obviously, against Pomerantz. I think Clev and Musgrove may have thrown a little bit too. Just seeing pitches, tracking pitches, and I think Manny will probably pinch hit tonight. I would think. The kid came back, the kid asked Manny for his bat, and Manny replied, "I need this for tomorrow." Again, I mean, obviously, they didn't play yesterday, so he probably meant today. He feels good, I think, is what one reporter said, just not ready to be in the starting lineup. So maybe he's good enough to have one at bat, right? Yeah, Ashley says, hoping to get to Gallen tonight. No Padres killer Peralta in the lineup. Yay, yeah, I agree. Manny will probably pinch it later if it's a close game. That's what I feel like. Like, Manny knows his body. I feel like he wants to prove to the baseball world and to anyone criticizing the Padres' decision not to have him on the IL, on this 10-day IL, and they should have brought up Brent Rooker or whoever, Eggy Rosario, whoever it would have been. I think he wants to prove them wrong and at least appear in a game before those 10 days and make an impact. So I definitely think you could see him going up to Bob and saying, "I'm ready," or in the clubhouse before the game saying, "I'll be underneath in the cage hitting in a close game. Give me a call or tell Michael Bedard to come down and get me if you want me to hit in a close situation. I'm comfortable to hit." I feel like that's what's going to happen tonight. And Irie says Manny will probably DH one of these Arizona games, so it would have to be tomorrow because it's only a 2-game series against the Diamondbacks before they play a 4-game series at Dodger Stadium, which is going to be huge because right now the Padres are, I think, a game back of the Dodgers in the standings. So we'll see. All right, I went through the lineups, the bullpen situation. 640 is the first pitch, by the way. Again, Padres are 45-30, which is obviously a great record when they've been out. They've been without Bob Melvin for some time. They were without Ryan Christensen for some time. They been without Manny for last week. They've been they've been without Fernando for months now since spring training when we heard that he had that wrist surgery or the wrist injury. He had surgery, right? Yeah, I think he had surgery. So any anything else to talk about? I don't think so. I mean, the Yankees are being the Yankees. They're being great. Uh, Aaron Judge is earning all of the money that he's going to get in free agency. It was announced today. That is some news. I forgot about this. Bryce Harper having thumb surgery. He's going to be out at least 6 weeks or around 6 weeks, I think is what I saw on MLB Network. And that is great news. I'm a big Bryce Harper fan for anyone that knows me personally. Grew up, he was my favorite player growing up. And that sucked to watch him go down. I mean, obviously I'm a diehard Padre fan, but you want to see the game's best players on the field, and Bryce Harper's like Manny Machado. He plays. He makes himself available on the field. pretty much every day, doesn't take many off days at all. The manager has to force him to take an off day most times. So it sucks to see him have to go down with this injury. And when he went down, it's kind of like, oh man, he's probably out for the year. And then you see that he has surgery. He's going to be out 6 weeks. It's like, that's a big win for the Phillies. Because I think the Phillies, if they didn't have Manny Machado, or excuse me, Manny, I'm thinking Manny. If they didn't have Bryce Harper for the rest of the season, and it might be more than 6 weeks, but it's not the rest of the season. He intends to play again, is what I saw from the reports. If they're without him, or if they were going to be without him for the rest of the season, I don't think they would have made the playoffs. This guy has been an MVP, a DH superstar. He dominated that one Dodger series at Dodger Stadium earlier this year. And he's been playing with the torn UCL. He wants to be out there. If you take him out of the lineup, now who are you DHing? You're having Castellanos be the DH? Okay, then who are you putting in right field where Castellanos played the majority or maybe all the games in this series against the Padres this past weekend? So it just creates a lot of scenario. Mickey Moniak, I know he hasn't done great with the Phillies, so you're calling him back up. I don't know their situation, but I feel like that's what would have happened. And they're just going to they would have had a lot of pressure on, what's his name? Realmuto, Castellanos, and Schwarber. And Schwarber, he's kind of like Voit to me. He's better than Voit, but there is strikeout in his bat. And when he hits, he has extra base hits. But other than that, there's not a whole lot there. He's not the best fielder. Same with Castellanos. It just creates a lot of problems if Bryce was going to be out for the rest of the year. So I'm glad to see it's only 6 weeks. 6 weeks is still a lot of time, and definitely there is that possibility that they fall way out of the playoff race through those 6 weeks, and there's just no point for Bryce to even come back the rest of the year. But he's going to try to go for it, and that's huge props to him. All right, I think that's it. I think that'll do it. I appreciate everyone joining live on YouTube, and if you're watching on replay, I also appreciate that as well. This has been the Talking Friars Padres Diamondbacks pregame show. 6:40 is the first pitch. Will Manny get a pinch hit appearance tonight? We will see. That's going to be the big thing to watch tonight. And then Mania versus Gallen on the mound. All right, enjoy the game tonight. Highlights at Talking Friars on Twitter as always. See you, everybody.